Hey guys, it's Cheryl from CC Restyled here, and today I am working on this dresser slash buffet piece. It's a really cool ornate chunky 70s piece, my favorite. It's got 9 drawers, and basically to prep this piece I'm going to sand down the top because there's a little bit of scratches, and it's actually the top is actually wood, so I can sand that down. These front pieces are actually some sort of plastic, so I'm not going to sand those, and they're actually pretty porous feeling. So I'm not going to prep those any further. I'm just going to wipe them down. I don't need to. I'm not going to prime them or anything like that. If they were a little shinier, I probably would. If they were shinier, I would definitely prime them, but they're pretty porous, so I'm pretty confident my paint's going to grab onto the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and sand down the top, and then I'm going to remove the hardware, and then we can go ahead and paint our first coat of paint and do some fun blending with some different blues and stuff. So yeah. Okay, so I am doing a ombre navy to gray on this piece. I'm going to be using Dixie Belle in the navy at the top. It will fade down to Yankee blue, and then at the bottom I'm going to be using Hurricane Gray. And then on the drawers, I'm going to do some accents of Bunker Hill blue, just for a little bit of little splashes of brighter blue. Not much, just some little accents around the drawers. So I'm going to start on this side, and I'll go ahead and lay my base coat and kind of prepare myself for blending. So what I do when I'm preparing to blend, on the first coat I kind of lay down the colors in sections, like where I want them to kind of fall when I'm blending, which when you're blending you push around the paint a lot, so it's kind of hard to get an exact area going on. But as long as you have it covered, the coverage is the important part, and then where, you know, exactly where the blend falls is it falls where it falls. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and do this side so you can see how I'm doing the whole thing, and then I'll do the drawers. So I want to do darker to lighter from the top down. So I'm going to start with the top in the navy, which is like a nice, really dark navy. I think in photos sometimes it almost looks black is how dark it is. So I got my top a little less than a third. I'm going to do a little less than a third in the navy. It's a tongue twister, in the navy. I don't prefer to paint in the sun with chalk paint because it can dry kind of funky, but I don't really have a choice right now because of space reasons, so but I don't recommend it. We'll see how that goes with the blending. I've been getting kind of some clouds off and on, so hopefully while I'm blending I get some clouds. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy. This is my first video outside, so I'm sure they think I'm talking to myself or my trash can. I've got my phone clipped to my trash can to do this. So my neighbors probably think I'm talking to the trash. But they probably already think I'm crazy, because who else has lots of furniture spilling out into their driveway because the house is full? Not me, I'm just saying. Somebody probably does. Okay, so the next color, whew, got all kinds of little things flying into my paint here. The next color I'm doing is Yankee Blue. Isn't that pretty? So I am gonna do just a little bit. I'm gonna do probably, down to about here in Yankee Blue. And then Hurricane Gray. Hurricane Gray and Manatee Gray from Dixie Belle are two of my favorite grays. I love them. They're like the perfect gray. A lot of grays have like green or purple undertones, which I'm not a fan of, and these don't, and I love it. All right, so the bottom, Hurricane Gray. Okay, so I got my 3 separate colors on there, and then obviously when I move on to the blending stage, I'll just be blending in between the 3 colors. I'm gonna go ahead and continue this all the way around on the other sides. And the drawers, I paint them, I don't paint them in the piece like you see a lot of people do on a lot of tutorials and lives. I take them out because I like to paint the edges at the same time. So what I'm gonna have to do is judge on my drawers about where the paint, the colors change, and kind of try to match it up the best I can. I'm not super worried about matching it perfectly because they're so ornate that it's gonna be impossible to blend a straight line all the way across anyway, so it's gonna have to be a little organic of a blend. So we'll do the best we can. Okay, so I know I already mentioned this, but it's worth mentioning again. I don't recommend chalk painting in the sun. I only am because that's really my only option right now. So when you do, you just have to make sure you work quickly, because the chalk paint literally dries before your very eyes, which is particularly awesome because we are doing our blending coat now. So luckily this half of the buffet is in the shade. So that will make it a little bit easier on this side, and the other side we'll have to see. But so our base layer is dry. You can see I've got my colors roughly where I want them. A lot of folks like to use the water bottle method when they're blending. That's not my jam. I just it's just not a tool that I have. I've tried it, and I just prefer to, if my paint starts to dry up on me, I just add more paint. It's easier than having an extra tool, and I feel like it, you know, you don't have to battle with drips and watering down of your paint, things like that. So I also have a dry brush. I'm using a big one because I want a nice big fat fade or blend. If I use a smaller brush, the blend will be shorter, so like a harsher fade, if that makes sense. And using the big brush, I'll have it more blended, more blendy, if that makes sense. So for my second coat, I'm gonna go ahead and slap on. I'm gonna start at the top for no reason, just because. Okay, so I'm gonna paint it on just like I did the first coat. I'm gonna bring it all the way down to here. And then my second color, I'll go ahead and apply. And you want to make sure you're working in really small sections at a time, because the paint needs to be wet. So I'm just going to put on that little section, and then with my dry brush, which is getting lint everywhere, and I've got a shop towel to wipe the excess paint off my brush. I'm just going to go back and forth, up and down. The more up and down you go, the more blendy your paint's going to get. I'm going to get a little bit more paint right through here. It's drying so fast, so I gotta work quick. I'm just going back and forth because I want a nice ombre look. See, I was just pulling the paint from each side, like the top down and then the down, bottom up when I go back and forth. Can you see that? I hope you can. It's drying so fast because of the weather, but I'm working fast, so I can't see it because of the sun, but I hope that you can. Okay, so that's already dry because it's so hot out here. So I'm going to move on to my next color. And then you just go back and forth and down and up slowly to drag that paint to each opposite side. I hope that makes sense. You're pulling paint from the top color and dragging it down, and you're also pulling paint from the bottom color and dragging it up. And it's drying, so make sure you wipe the excess paint off your brush so that you're not dragging too much color. And that is my ombre gray to in the navy. Now I'll just finish painting my parts that are not part of the ombre. Get those drying. And then running out of places to sit here. So next I want to move around to my column here, which is a little bit different because it's not just a flat surface. It's got these carvings in it, so it's still not a difficult thing to do, but I'll show you how I do that. So first get my second coat on the parts that don't need blended. Okay, and then starting with my in the navy. And then Yankee blue. So for the carved parts, instead of a long stroke, I can't really do that. So I'm just gonna do some circly motions and maybe some stippling to get in the details. You kind of just stipple at it or do these circly motions with a dry brush, wipe the excess off. Then you are able to blend in the little carved crevices. Can you see that? How that's working out. So we'll move on down. Move on down the road. And same thing. Wipe all the excess paint off my brush and just stipple at it. Give it some circular motions to get in those details and spread that paint around to get it to blend. Okay, cool. So that's it. That was pretty easy. I'm gonna do a drawer next, which should be fun because they've been sitting in the sun, so they're super hot and they're gonna dry really fast. If I was smart, I would find shade, but there really isn't any in my driveway this time of day. So I'm just gonna take my chances and work quickly, okay? So for the drawer, I'm gonna do the same as that little column that I just did. I will just kind of stipple at it or do the circular motions to get down in those details. And hopefully, see how it's already drying on me, these parts that aren't getting blended, so I'll paint those first. I've never been a fan of the water bottle method. Maybe it's just because it just, I don't know, it just hasn't really, I feel like I've mastered this better, but this hot day with the sun shining down like this is kind of making me rethink that. But that's okay. So I'm just going to do one side at a time because it's drying so quickly. For blending, I mean. So I'm going to do this side first. that's fine. Okay. I'm just kind of stippling at it. I'm gonna have to add a little bit more of this color because it dries so freaking fast. Wow, so if you're ever waiting for paint to dry, just stick it out in the sun. You'll be good. Alright, so there's half my drawer blended, if you can see that. Hopefully you can. I'm going to go ahead and finish the other half and do the rest of my dresser and the rest of my drawers in this sweltering hot sun. Okay, it's not sweltering, but it is pretty hot. I'm not complaining though, because we had like 4 Januaries in a row this past winter and I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of this, and then we'll move on to the next step on this dresser slash buffet. So my drawers are all blended and painted and dry. I went ahead and put them back in place so I could see what they're going to look like, because I want to go through and add some little accents of Bunker Hill blue, just for a little bit of added color. I got a lot of blue and gray right here, and I could use a pop of bright blue. So I think I'm gonna go through and do, I've got a 1-inch flat brush. I'm just gonna do kind of dry brush, I guess, a little bit of this Bunker Hill blue, which is like a royal blue, in different spots, just kind of peek through for interest. Can you see that even? Just a touch. My next element is going to be some stenciling on the sides, and I am going to achieve that with a large stencil from ReDesign with Prima. I love these stencils, they're huge. Look how big it is. It's huge, and look how cool that pattern is. I'm not sure the name of this one. It doesn't say on here. Sometimes they say this one doesn't. But it should fit over my whole side, so I don't have to keep repeating my stencil, which is awesome because repeating stencils is not fun. So I'm gonna spray some stencil adhesive on the back of this bad boy real quick. And let that dry for just a minute. Okay, so I like to use stencil adhesive spray to help grip it to the surface and help prevent seepage. Except my nozzle is all clogged up, so technical difficulties. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry to where it's slightly tacky. And in the meantime, I will, I'm going to show you my secret weapon. So normally I roll stencils with a foam roller. This one, I want it to look kind of like worn or faded, you know, like just kind of aged. So I'm going to use my favorite gilding spray, which is this Design Master 24 karat pure gold plating spray. I love this stuff. It's got this brilliant gold sheen. It comes in all the different metallics and like 3 or 4 different golds. It's unlike any other spray that I've ever used. It actually looks gold, not just kind of shiny or sparkly. I'm not very impressed with many spray metallics, but this one is really the only one I'll use, or this brand. It's Design Master Premium Metals One Coat Metallic Finish, quick drying, rich plating look. So that's the secret weapon. So I'm going to be using this because I don't want to fill up my whole side with the stencil. I want to spray and so that it's kind of faded in spots and on the edges, and so it looks like it just kind of was on there and got worn. So my stencil is dry to attack, but I brought some tape to hold it in place just in case. And let's see, actually might not be able to use the tape because of the edge. So I'm just gonna hold my stencil up in place. Oh, I love this stencil. Brand new one. I haven't used this one yet. I'm so excited. So, man, we have all these trees and they just drop all these weird, I don't even know what they are, on my stuff. So, I'm going to line it up where I want it. And press it down the best I can. So I let the stencil adhesive dry to like a perfect tack, so it's sticking really well, but not too good, you know, to where it's gonna pull my paint off. So when I'm spraying this, I don't want to go like, I don't want to do the whole thing like I said. I'm just gonna go in small parts so that it got that faded look that I want. I guess like in patches, if you will. Think of it like in patches. So got my uneven stencil going on, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up. Boom. See how it looks kind of faded and worn around the edges? That's exactly what I was going for. So by not spraying the whole thing, I was able to, you know, and just doing it in little sections, I was able to get that kind of faded look. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the other side, and then we will put some more embellishments on our piece. Okay, so I had to move our project under a roof due to the threat of impending doom. You might hear thunder here in a second. But, so our stencil is dry. Look how pretty shiny that is. I love that spray. It is amazing, and it's really, it's very long. I mean, it lasts. It's not gonna rub off or anything. It's just like, it's the best gold spray. So what I wanna do next is add some pretty little blue flower transfers. Not too many, I don't wanna get too crazy, but I just wanna add some texture, some more elements to add just some more layers of coolness to our piece here. So I'm using the French Ceramics transfer from ReDesign with Prima, and it comes in these sheets, and you can apply it as one big piece, but you can also cut up the individual elements. See, you can cut them up as you wish and put them on, place them on your piece, and that's what I'm gonna do. And then I have one more I'm gonna put on the top to kind of bring some of this gold up on the top. It is, this is one of the parts of the Somewhere in France transfer from ReDesign with Prima, and it's gold. I know it looks kind of brown right now, but it's actually, it's a gold, not super shiny, it's like a antiqued gold kind of look. So I like it, and we are going to use that on the top, right dead in the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick out my flowers for this side, and then I'm gonna, whatever I do on this side, I'll just mimic on the other side. Mimic pretty closely, not exactly though. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and do, and this one's pretty cool. I like how there's just a little bit of like words incorporated in the background. I'm all about texture, and it's just one more little layer of texture to add to your design. I love it. Okay, so the transfers come with these little wooden sticks, and they are so easy. You peel the backing paper off slowly, and actually, you gotta be very careful it doesn't fold over on itself, or you don't touch the actual graphic, because it's sticky and it'll stick. So we're just gonna throw that right there. I don't want to get too carried away with the florals. It's going to be used as a buffet, and so it needs to be fairly unisex. So I'm just going to do little touches of floral here and there. So this is just a rub-on transfer. If you're not familiar with these, I have some other videos that explain more in depth what they are. But basically it's just a rub-on transfer. For walls, furniture, you can make all kinds of things. You can put a transfer on just about anything. So I rubbed it on. I'm gonna go over it with my hands and make sure it's just make sure it's down really well. And the transfers need to be sealed, so when I'm all done, I'm going to wax over the whole thing. Nope, forgot to cut the edge. And Careful not to touch it. I'm cutting the edge because I want to make sure I get it right straight up to the edge of my my panel here, my side panel. So I want to be able to line it up a little easier. Oops, sorry. I don't know if you can hear the thunder, but I love it. Working in a storm is amazing, unless you're like literally in the storm. These are so fun and so easy to use. They come in so many different like colors and patterns and designs, and you can really kick up anything a notch just by adding it. It's so much faster than hand painting it. I mean, geez, can you imagine hand painting all of this? Like, no way. It would take so long. So I don't know. I think I want to add just a little bit more, like right here, just a little bit, and then move on. Let's see if this will fit here. I don't know, maybe here? No, not here. Okay, so let's cut. Alright, so I'm going to add that big blue rose right there. Then I'm going to put my transfer on the top and do this on the other side. And then our next step, well, I'm going to have to clear wax this whole thing. Since I have to clear wax or seal the transfers, I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole thing, the whole piece. And then after that, our last step is some gilding waxes on the front, which will be really fun and add some sparkle to the drawer fronts. And then we'll have a finished piece. See that lightning? Maybe. Okay, cool. Check that out. See, it just adds a little bit of something, you know? It's a little something something to add some interest. Okay, my last and final step, besides putting the hardware back on, is adding the metallic gold accents, which, as you can see, I've already started and they're looking really pretty. I'm using this ReDesign with Prima decor wax, and the color is Eternal. Sorry. Isn't that pretty? It's just a gold. The decor wax comes in all different colors, and it's like the perfect consistency. It is thick. It goes on really well. It's the best wax I think that I've come across, and I really enjoy using it. I just apply it with my finger. So it goes on so easy and so smooth, and it's really brilliant. Dries pretty quick too, so. And I'm just gonna continue like that all across all the details on the front, and then put the hardware back on and I'll be all done.